We are live.
We are live. And my name is Tom Ryan, and this is Tom Ryan Remembers. But now we're going to switch. This is the 51st tape. Kevin is in Tokyo, Kevin Ryan, and I'm Tom Ryan, and I'm in Loveland. And I'm going to ask Kevin questions now, and he's going to talk about his life in the Ryan family as the oldest. And there's 4, so we'll do this with each of the other 3 kids later. So this is Kevin's chance to tell stories about his growing up. And he was born at St. Francis Hospital in Peoria. And then I was teaching school in Chillicothe, Illinois, 20 miles north along the Illinois River. And that was for 2.5 years. So Kevin was only 2 years old when we left Chillicothe. So I don't think he remembers this, but you were 2 years old, and we had put a box of mouse killer seeds in the back of the refrigerator, thinking it would be safe there from you kids. And then when we were moving the furniture to move out of the house and move back to Elgin, Illinois, we spilled this box.
No, I think that actually happened in Elgin on the way to Carpentersville.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That could have been my memory. And so Kevin started eating the seeds. And of course, they're poison seeds. Oh, he got all upset. We rushed him to the doctor, and the doctor put a tube down his throat and pumped out his stomach. Oh, it was terrible. But I don't think you remember that.
No, I don't remember that at all. Yeah.
That was your child. Our kids were very healthy. And so we don't have many health problems with them to tell about. But we moved in from Chillicothe, Illinois, and Dan was born there. So he was a year old when we left, and you were 2 years old when we left. And we were on our way to Waukegan, ultimately to teach in Elgin, Illinois. So I think you might remember some of Elgin because we lived there quite a long time. So when we got from Meadowdale, we lived, but you went to Kings Road School. That's right. Do you remember anything about Kings Road School in Meadowdale, Carpentersville, Illinois?
Well, yeah, I do remember. I remember the first day wasn't kindergarten. I'd been there a while, but it was the first day. I think I was first grade. And I remember going there and on the playground, there was a corner of the pavement that left off into a big puddle. And as I was nearing the puddle, some 6th grader or 5th grader knocked me. I don't know. I think it was by accident, but knocked me right into the puddle. So I was, my pants were just full of mud. And so they, I went into the office and I said, look, what should I do? And the nurse, I think it was, took me over into a room. They had a whole set of clothing. So I got my first pair of jeans when I was 6 years old through that experience, and so that was.
Oh, what they have to do in elementary school to teach. Well, you learned to read there, and I'll bet you don't remember anything about learning to read or the teacher that taught you. That's the most important thing you learn in school is how to read. And most people
I do remember the reading circles, and we'd sit in circles and go around and the Dick Jane books and go around. I do remember Susan Elanius, who was there in the 1st or 2nd grade. I can't remember, but we were in the reading circle. She was probably the smartest kid in the class because she was the best reader. Yeah, but
there's always somebody smarter than you.
But I remember the The only reason I remember that is because one day she got sick and threw up right in the middle of the reading circle. Yeah,
Things you remember. Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. They called it Fertile Valley because so many kids were born there, and every house had a whole bunch of kids. Of course, we had four only a year apart, but we weren't unusual. So when school started, there were an awful lot of kids going down to Kings Road School, and it quickly got overcrowded. And I think they had a problem teaching, mostly beginning teachers, because they were hired new teachers. I was a beginning teacher there, and they were inexperienced. It was but you learned to read, and
Yes,
you've been a
yes.
reader ever since.
The first teacher I really remember is in third grade, Mrs. Thomas. And she was, I don't know, relatively unremarkable, but she did have a well-organized class. So that was good. Yeah.
So you're only pretty young,
And
even when you
I do
left
have
there. And then,
glimpses of my first grade teacher. She was a nice looker, actually, blonde. I can't remember her name or anything like that, but yeah.
yeah, that's not unusual. That the most important thing you learn in school is how to read, and most people can't remember the teacher that taught them how.
I do
And then,
remember in second grade though, going there with a new pair of penny loafers. Those were all the style where you get shoes, and they had this little slit in the front where you put a penny, a shiny penny, and you could put. Most people didn't bother to put in any pennies, but I, did not want pennies. I put in dimes, and because I don't know because, but I remember that I was seven on my seventh birthday. I got those loafers, and I felt, it's like everything was lining up because my name was Kevin, and I was seven, and I was in heaven. So that
yeah,
was, yeah, that day was a very good day. Uh,
you you did well there, but at a Christmas time, they invited the parents to come at night, and they had a concert, like a party, Christmas celebration, and you kids were up on the stage, and you had a singing teacher that came in and had evidently taught you how to sing, and the singing teacher awarded you a bell so that you could ring the bell at the appropriate time, jingle bells or whatever. And we discovered that we knew already Kevin can't sing. And so the teacher discovered that quickly and found she was, skilled
well, I
with
do
doing this.
remember,
And she gave you something to do. It was important, but it wasn't singing.
yeah, I do remember feeling special getting the bell, but all the other parts you guys have told me, and I don't remember that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
okay. So we went on to Elgin to live, and we spent a long time there, and we moved into a house, 29 Southwestern, and you started what, junior high, Abbot Junior High?
No, no, no. I was in at Gifford. I was in fifth grade. I was 10 years old.
Oh
I
yeah,
moved
okay.
in on December 5th, and I think I mentioned in a couple of sessions earlier that it was had snow flurries.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, so I met Bruce Martinson the first day. He was sitting next to me in fifth grade, and that first day in fifth grade, gosh, I had Mr. O'Connor, who was a real character. He was an old guy, and he had a hickory stick that, and he was, I think it was just to demonstrate more than anything. I got in there and he introduced me, and so we were working away, and Jimmy Nelson, the class cut up, was goofing around. He called Jimmy Nelson up in front of the class, and for some reason, Jimmy was still goofing off, and Mr. O'Connor whacked him right in the shin with the hickory stick, and Jimmy fell to his knees and
yeah.
and eventually recovered, and I was just like, oh my, just my God, I better keep in line here. Well, it turned out Mr. O'Connor was this great guy. He hated teaching math, so he had a program learning kind of thing, which was my favorite part of fifth grade because you could just go at your own rate and you could you know study what you like. And he never really cared. He just kind of watched a little bit and how you doing and stuff like that. But he didn't really want to teach any math. So eventually they made him put away his hickory stick, and he got kind of like a car antenna that he would use. It was
Yeah, I don't imagine. I can imagine his
can't,
principal was worried about being sued or something with the
right.
hickory stick, right? Yeah, he was a character. We had a lot of character teachers. Maybe I was one of them. Maybe you were too. I don't know. You know, you went into Boy Scouts.
That's true.
The Charlie Treadwell's troop.
Yes, yeah, the best troop in all of northern Illinois. It certainly was, at least the most well equipped anyway. But yeah, and that was we met in the gymnasium on Tuesday nights of Gifford Elementary School, and yeah, it was.
You were in it quite a bit for a long time, and Charlie wanted you to become an Eagle Scout in the worst way. You had quite a few merit badges, and all you had to do was get a few more, and you'd be an Eagle Scout, and that'd be a great and wonderful thing. And I agreed with Charlie, but I said I'm not going to force Kevin to do it. So Charlie came right over to our house, and he really applied pressure on you to work, get a few more merit badges, and become. It would be an honor to him too.
Right.
To have one of his scouts become
right.
an Eagle Scout.
That's what came through the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
But by then it was all she was wrote. I had discovered girls. So girls kind of became a lot more important than Boy Scouts at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. If you drag out the Eagle Scout thing too long, then you're not even interested.
Yeah, I was 16 at the time when I finally finished up with the Scouts. Yeah, so that's usually pretty late. And I did get Life Scout, which is the one just below Eagle.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even make it that far. I was in Boy Scouts, and I was only at first class. But I liked the camping best.
Yeah. We did a lot of camping, but for me, the best part was being a patrol leader. After when I'd been there at a couple of years, they put me in charge of a patrol, which is 8 kids, and they put into patrols, and I think we had 5 patrols at the time. That we had about 40 kids in the troop, and we go camping, and each patrol would have their own campsite. And we would, go on long, like for a week long in the summer up to Wisconsin in the middle of nowhere. And so it was to manage 8 kids and try to get them to cook 3 meals a day. And it was really good food that we had and good equipment. And so we ate well and, or at least had the opportunity to eat well if we were organized enough. And, so we learned how to put dish soap on the outside of camping pans so that the smoke wouldn't stick. You could wash the smoke off, and a million other things like that I would never have learned if I hadn't been in Boy Scouts.
Yes. I think I became a patrol leader as well, and it was a big event. I realized I could be a leader, and I was pretty timid. I didn't think I ever would, but Boy Scouts helped me to get started. Then you went in 16. Then you went to Larkin High School, and some kids have a hard time when their father's a teacher and they're a student. The other kids, they give them a hard time or whatever, but you didn't have any you didn't ever, you weren't in my class. You would be in other teachers' classes, but that's all you kids went through. You didn't have any problem with that, me being the teacher, did you?
No, well, I got flack from it from other students in high school, and I actually did because you had the what was it, the team teaching thing. I did actually have you as a teacher for 6 weeks, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, not every day, but
We-
once. Yeah, I think so. 6 sessions. And I sat in the back and, had my head down very low and just to kind of, get through, let's get through this. But yeah, by then that was the senior year and I had a bad case of senioritis and I was, we were allowed to skip 3 classes every 6 weeks. And so I used almost all of those. I was heavily involved with the church group at that point. And so
Yes.
the
Tell
only
us about
thing
the church group.
the only thing the only thing at the school that was really interesting was the orchestra and the band. I was involved with. Talk about not being able to sing. I was playing bass, string bass for both the orchestra and the band and concert band, and for a lot of the drama. We did Fantastics, which had a small combo of 6 or 8 people doing music. It was a musical, a very small musical, but yeah, and involved in lots with music there.
The reason you played the bass was that Ivan Warble, the band director, orchestra director, he'd look out in the teacher's parking lot and see who had a station wagon that would hold a bass, and then he'd go in and recruit. You got recruited because we had a station wagon, and your big bass would fit in there when you had to go away from this.
And mom was willing to shuffle me. I'd bring the bass home for the weekend and for practice, and then bring it back on Monday morning. And so yeah, yeah, Ivan was in the grade school in Gifford, and then his son Stephen was at the junior high. So Ivan got me started, but then I went all the way through junior high and high school with the bass, going back and forth, and yeah, so it was a lot of shuttling back and forth with not much practicing. I would bring it home for the weekend and practice maybe 15 or 20 minutes on it. But that was a constant kind of thing. Here we're bringing it all home, and you're not practicing, and yeah.
There's some pictures of you with a bass in Tokyo, so you still play the bass even.
Occasionally, the university has some extra basses hanging around, and I borrowed one, and we had a special kind of music night for the graduation party, and another teacher plays guitar, so it was guitar and bass, and we were doing that for the graduation party. Not a lot though. Yeah, no, I don't do it much anymore, but I still know how to play. It's like a bicycle.
Yeah, you can't unlearn it. Now, you were active in the Church of the Brethren youth group. One of the reasons we joined the Church of the Brethren was that they had such an active church group, and we were worried that if we stayed in the Catholic Church, you'd probably drift away, since very few of the high school kids were going to church. But the high school age kids at Church of the Brethren, there were lots of them, and they went to church. But
Yeah, we had a really, yeah, again, that's the girls and the church were kind of all, there were a lot of interesting girls in the group, but also guys, and yeah, highly educated preachers' kids mostly. And the leader of the youth group was at the time the kind of the pope of the church. He was the general manager, but he still had time for Sunday working with the youth groups. Ralph McFadden. And he was pretty much hands off as far as organization and things like that. He let the kids organize and do things as much as they could without as oversight. We were astounded by the lack of oversight and his trust in us to do the
Yeah.
right thing. Yeah. So
So you were very influenced by the Church of the Brethren and then went to a Brethren college, Manchester in
that's right.
Indiana.
That's right. Yeah.
And I remember when you were ready to go to to college and graduate, you at the last minute you said, "No, I think I'll just stay home and go to Elgin Community College and live at home." And
Yeah.
your mother said, "No way, Kevin. It's Dan's turn to be the top of the heap and the big cheese around here. And you're off to Manchester. You signed up there and away you go."
Yeah,
And you,
well, it was also, yeah, you sat down and said, well, if you stay, then you have to pay rent and you can't use the car. You have to buy your own car. And if you go, we'll match anything you save, so you can, so there was a lot of economic incentive as well. Yeah,
we put the pressure on you to get out of the house.
right, right.
From then on, you loved the world. And
Yeah,
while you were at Manchester, you went to a year
Barcelona.
Barcelona, Spain. But one other thing, Andrea Warnke, wasn't she? You said that you liked a lot of the girls. They were very sophisticated for teenager girls in the youth group. She was one that you were especially attached to, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. We were boyfriend and girlfriend senior year in high school, and I went out to Manchester, and she was a year younger than I, and went to Elgin High School. But we got to know each other through church, and then I went off to Manchester. She stayed for another year, and then she came to Manchester, and after that, so we were together for maybe 3 years. And eventually we kind of just drifted apart. She had different interests, and I did too. We started arguing a lot, and so we just thought it wasn't worth it. And we broke up over an argument over the toilet seat, whether I should put it up or put it down. And it was a stupid argument, but yeah.
Yeah. I know after she graduated, she was a volunteer in Northern Ireland to bring peace. Northern Ireland has had peace pretty much, got peace, a peace treaty with the Irish and the English, and they ended the war. But she worked there, and you went to Spain
Hmm.
and had your year there in Spain. So you were apart after that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
she's working for the ACLU now in Burlington, Vermont, and
still doing that.
still playing French horn. Yeah, from her Facebook page. I really haven't talked to her at all, but yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Yeah. Well, they were all important to us too, because we were so involved in the church and enjoyed the programs. And then we went on trips with the church too. Well, you ended up volunteering to go to China to teach English. How
BCA
about
again, the Brethren BVA, Brethren Volunteer Association, or yeah, and so yeah, and that was after I had been here in Japan for about 6 years. And then I got married, and about that time, we decided, both of us, to go to China for this volunteer to help to prepare agricultural scientists. These are all postdocs. So they would, and assembled in Nanjing for a year. So I had, really, really top level students for that year, the best students I've ever had. And they were wonderful. They would not let me leave the classroom. They were asking so many questions, and constantly. And so, yeah, the only thing was that it was physically very hard. The cafeteria had oily food, and it was cold. There was no central heating, no heating at all, actually. And so we'd have to wear coats around the house in the winter, and spent a lot of time under the covers because it was so cold. So that part wasn't good. And Monkey she taught in the high school. She taught Japanese to the students in the high school, which by then, this was 1989. So
Yeah.
it was only a few short years after in Nanjing, the occupation by the Japanese. But at that time, Japan was on top of the heap economically, and the students didn't care at all about the history. They just wanted to learn Japanese so that they could make some money, and they were
Yeah.
really interested in getting making their situation better, and no matter what way. Yeah.
So I remember you came to Elgin to visit us and to see the Church of the Brethren general office before you left for this tour to duty together in China. And you were sitting in our living room and on the floor, I remember, and Maki was watching the TV and tears were coming down her face because they were rioting in front of the palace in Peking, and there was rioting going on.
Yeah, at Tiananmen. Yeah, Tiananmen was the palace, the imperial palace. And it was in June 4th and 5th, where the army just crushed the rebellion. It wasn't a rebellion; it was a protest, a peaceful protest. And the most famous picture out of that, of course, is the guy standing in front of the tank, and this whole line of tanks, and the guy just stood there, and the tank stopped, and that was, yeah. But then the next day they came in and just shot and killed a whole bunch of people, the protesters, and yeah, it was pretty terrible. At that point, it was kind of, we were questioning whether we would be going, and no, the church officials said, yeah, it's still on, we're gonna do this. Yeah. So
Yeah,
right.
it was a church that didn't believe in war, pacifist church, but you were not to be afraid to go into a dangerous situation without any arms and bring
Well,
peace. Which
yeah,
is the job, bring
the
peace to the world.
the whole idea at the time was that we should try to co-opt China by lifting up, making their economic situation better, and they could see the wisdom of capitalism, and how that would, we could influence them by connecting with them as much as possible. The ping pong diplomacy, kind of taken on after a couple of decades, was still in effect,
Yeah.
whereas we see that really hasn't turned out to be true at all. the the effort, though, and it was a really great experience for me in Nanjing, and I think for Monkey too. And it was tough. I remember going in at Hong Kong, her complaining about how smelly the food was and the city was in Hong Kong. And then after a year in Nanjing, we went out through Hong Kong again, and she was going, "Oh my God, what a great place this is!" And so it really opened her up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the Japanese are very picky about sanitation, and evidently the Chinese were not. They spit on the sidewalk, she said.
Yeah.
That was
A
terrible.
lot.
I remember her saying the Chinese look like us, Japanese, but they're nothing like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we've got Maki in here, Maki Mizuno. You got married. We got to back up now. How did you get to Japan and also Barcelona?
Actually, this is kind of getting along. Getting long. How about if we stop it here and maybe continue on in
We
another
could
session?
do Barcelona, Spain, and Tokyo later.
Okay.
But I didn't mention that you were born in uh, uh, June 20th, 1986.
1956.
56, yes, 56. And that we're now a long time, we moved along quite a few years. And now that you're getting ready to retire from being a professor in Tokyo. So we'll take that up later in
Right.
another episode.
Okay.
Really good. This is nice. I think that worked out nice.